We continue in the 25 basic principles of Jewish child rearing. We're up to principle number 9. We've mentioned before that there's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of unsavory things going on around us all the time. It's sufficient to pick up a newspaper or to hear in the media so much aggression, so much violence, so much crime, so many negative things. Children in their little worlds, their worlds of the playground and their worlds of school, they also encounter a lot of aggression. This is not a healthy environment for a child to grow up in, and therefore obviously we need to limit to whichever extent we can. We've mentioned keep them away from media which is uncontrolled, which is not kosher. Keep the homes as kosher as possible, but their interactions, there are social interactions. It can often happen that children encounter some difficult social situation with friends, with neighbors. We mentioned bullying. We mentioned teachers who are irritable, or teachers who were maybe overreacting, or maybe even reacting in kind. But very rarely will the child be exposed to compassion out there. His feelings were hurt. A little girl took away another little girl's dolly, and she was absolutely shattered by this, and she cried bitterly. It's something in her world that was a huge thing. Some nasty kid knocked down the building of blocks that she had just made. And to her, this was a real tragedy. She had been building this with so much care and so much love and so much, and came along, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, and just knocked this down. And the child, with frustration, will cry. Now, in the outside world, there really aren't many people who are going to be showing them compassion. But when the child comes home, it's very important to give the child the opportunity to express, to talk about things. The child must feel that the mother and the father are interested in their lives, and interested in their lives to the point where they will show and display compassion, where the child says that he was picked on by a teacher, or the child says that he or she was pushed out of a game, and she wasn't allowed to join in this game or that game, and this was a real hurt, something which is very painful. Now, these things may seem very insignificant to us, and we can say, that's just little kids playing around. But this child, that's their world, and it's important for the parents to show compassion. And now, sometimes the child can be in the wrong. Sometimes the child can be punished or whatever by a teacher, or sanctioned in some way, and the child may be wrong. But we know, and we're going to discuss this at a later stage, when punishing, has to be, it's a very careful and a very delicate art, the art of punishing. Because giving a punishment has to be exactly the right kind of punishment. It can't be laced with anger. It can't be exaggerated. It has to be fair. And sometimes just in the flow of life, these things just don't happen. So we need to be there at least to express compassion and understanding and identify with what's going on in the child's life. Not always can we come up with a solution. Sometimes the child has got found themselves in some kind of a social pickle, in a social struggle, and the child is being ostracized, the child is being pushed away from someone. So we don't always have an immediate solution, but just showing understanding and compassion and giving them the inner strength to be able to face up to their challenges, because we can't sort out every little interaction that takes place during the course of the day. On the contrary, children need to develop a certain sense of independence. But when the parent is showing compassion all the time, and the parent is compassionate, the child is overloaded with schoolwork, and there's a huge test, and the parent then at least show understanding, passion, compassion for for the child's burdens, for the child's plight. A child was punished, and a child was given some kind of a punishment to do something at home. So say, look, it's a pity you got yourself into trouble, and this trouble is something which you shouldn't have happened, but I understand you were punished and it's pretty painful for you, so I'm very sorry about that. I really am. Show that compassion alongside with sometimes a practical approach to sorting out the problems. But it's a cold world, and very often full of aggression, and sometimes there's even cruelty out there. So we are the only ones that can give compassion and caring and understanding. We've got to be there for it. Not that we necessarily are ignoring issues, but the issues should always be laced with understanding, caring, and compassion.